Hi, this is Roderick Paulin from New Orleans, Louisiana. I hope y'all doing all right this week. Today, we're going to be discussing anger. We're going to break it down into three phases: the why, who, and how. Today, we're just going to be talking about the why because anger has so many components to it that we would not be able to get to all of them in one setting, and I wouldn't even try. And again, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Much of this information you can actually research it yourself, or if you can get with a counselor, they can go ahead and explain it to you far better than I can. So, with that, I just want to take this time out to thank everyone for tuning in last week, where we talked about the use of your time. We talked about the enemies of time, which is just two of them. Just two of them are just fear and procrastination. People being afraid to go out on that limb, or they're waiting for the perfect opportunity. And we talked about that there is no perfect opportunity. You just have to do it. Like me with this video series, I'm really excited about it because I'm learning as I'm going forward. And that's the process of learning. There isn't a book that has been written that can tell you specifically what you want to do or how whatever it is that you want to do. You just have to do it, and you're gonna make some mistakes along the way. You just analyze it, and so as you analyze your errors, you make the adjustments as we go. Because people want to go ahead and get everything perfect. It's not. That's not how life is set up. But anyway, this is the Rev Speaks video series. This is my second week. I'm glad to be here again to y'all on this Sunday morning. And again, we are talking about anger. The video series was developed specifically to motivate, inspire, and be an example to somebody that may be going through a tough time. Because a lot of people keep things to themselves. They don't want people in their business, so to speak, and we get it. I mean, but many times when you find people that take that stance, a lot of them are actually suffering in silence because they don't want to talk about certain things because of that. I don't want anybody in my business, and we get it. We're not saying to totally put all of discuss personal things, but there are some issues that's going on with people, and it's affecting their lives. And because they don't want to talk about it or they're uncomfortable with it, um, again, many of them suffer in silence needlessly, and some suffer for many long, unnecessary years. And that's why I wanted to talk about anger, at least start the process of talking about anger, because it's something that many people don't know how to deal with. Um, Me personally, I'm included. I was talking to a colleague of mine, Delphio Marcellus from the famous jazz family, Wynton, Branford, Jason. All of them are great musicians. I've had a chance to play with them over the years. And some years ago, um, I'm a member of the Uptown Jazz Orchestra led by Delphio Marcellus, trombonist. And there was, maybe about 7, 8 years ago, there was a jazz conference in New Orleans. And we were scheduled to perform at this event. And of course, there are thousands of people. I mean, they had media, they had instrument companies, the whole nine yards, celebrities, the whole nine yards. So, of course, as a performing musician, we want to make sure that if we're in a situation like that, we want to make sure that we put our best foot forward. Not only that, that we get our time. You know what I'm saying? If you're in the band, especially if you're a featured soloist, okay. So at this particular event, we was performing, and Delphio called a song that I didn't particularly agree with at the time. And of course, that's my job. And we have a good relationship. And the reason I say that, the reason I'm telling this story is because when the song was being played, even though I didn't agree with it at the time, I was very, very angry because I wanted to play something else, which I thought which may have been more appropriate at the time. But regardless of that, the song was played. And of course, I was very upset even after we finished the performance. I still was upset. I called him afterwards, and we had a discussion, and I told him how I felt about that. Of course, I'm nowhere near uh, the. I was angry. I was very angry at that time. So we were speaking today, and now we laugh at it. So I say that because everyone has to be able to deal with anger at some point. And luckily, we have a great relationship that that I'm still a part of the band, and because at the end of the day, that's my job. My job as a professional musician is to be able to do what the job requires. Show up, play the job, regardless as to whether I agree with a set of songs. It's still my job to go ahead and do the job. Well, and I say this because now, years later, as I considered and as we laugh about it, I say to myself, wow, I really didn't handle that very well. And of course, being because we have that relationship, now we can laugh at it now. At least I can laugh at it. Because looking at it myself, I was in another space mentally. I was so concerned about what I wanted and how I thought it should go. And it didn't go that way because it wasn't my band. So I have to I have to defer to the manager, to the leader of the group, and do what the majority is doing. So I say all this to you as an example to be able to deal with anger and how to positively deal with it when you're in the moment. Because when you're in the moment, there's no book. When you're in the moment, you're upset, you're hot, you may feel disrespected, you may feel all kinds of emotions at that moment. And depending on where you are, that's going the where you are mentally, that's really going to be a determining factor in terms of how that situation can play out for you. Hopefully, it'll work out for you. Because particularly if you're in at your job, you may have a supervisor. If you're in a situation like that, you may have a supervisor that may not be so inclined with that. And if you react like that, they could attempt to terminate you for creating a workplace violence. You know what I'm saying? Or insubordination. And you may think it's wrong, or you may come to them later and say, "Well, I was just upset." They may not be. That may be true. You're probably right. But because you reacted that way negatively, now you've ruined. Now you have a tarnished relationship with your boss, and that's just one of many examples. You know what I'm saying? It could be something with your family. If you're having a bad day or something like that, and you talk sharply to your wife or to your husband or to your children, and they are now becoming the recipients of you having a bad day from you being angry at whatever happened, and especially they're now bearing the brunt of that. I mean, that's a that's a that's a tarnish to that relationship. Even if you come and apologize afterward, because once that bell has been rung, you can't unring a bell. However, there is in fact forgiveness in place because we're all human and we all have made mistakes over the course of our lives, and that's what I'm here to talk about. How that you can employ some steps so that you can become a better person at dealing with the anger issues. And what I'm talking about is not new at all. Everything what I'm talking about is old, and it's old because it comes from the Bible. If you look at the motivational speakers such as Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, all of those people, the entire, trust me, ladies and gentlemen, the entire personal growth industry, the principles come from the Bible because those are where everything else emanates from. Those laws about the law of attraction. The Bible talks about that. The Bible talks about reaping and sowing. If you whatever you sow, that you're going to reap, meaning whatever you plant, that's what you're going to get back. If you plant good, you're going to get back good. If you plant bad, it's going to come back bad. So we have to mix in patience with that, particularly, hopefully you're planting good things, good thoughts, uh, good conversations, so that can come back to you. Now, let me just also say this. This is not just some happy-go-lucky, type of being positive all the time. No, sir. That's insane. No one is positive all the time. But what it does is it does set you up. It's better to be positive and to have a positive outlook on life, so that way you can be so that way whenever a situation comes up, you can be at the advantage and have the advantage of being able to come out on top because you are the priority. Absolutely. So and as I said, this is not uh, uh in a way to say that we're happy all the time. No, but what it does is that it puts you in a position for you, like I said, to have the advantage. And again, a lot of this stuff is not new. In the Bible, in Ecclesiastes, the first chapter, verses 8 through 10, it says, "All things are wearisome, more than one can say. The eye never has enough of seeing, nor the ear its fill of hearing. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. Is there anything of which one can say, look, this is not something new? It was here already, long ago. It was here before our time." And with that, I just wanted to reiterate that there is nothing new that I'm saying. You can look this information up online, and it probably has been said by someone else many, many years ago. It's just that me being from New Orleans, Louisiana, being an educator for over 25 years, I've been performing since I've been 9 years old. I'm 51 now, so that's like 42, 43 years now. So I've, I've had some experiences, and I'm able to share those experiences with my students. And now I want to share some of those experiences with you around the world, wherever you're located at. It doesn't matter whether you're white, black, rich, poor, young, or old, male or female. It just doesn't matter. We're talking about basic principles that I know that actually works. And anger, I have found, it doesn't matter your profession, but since I'm a professional musician, I get to see a lot of that. A lot of times, people don't know how to deal with anger. In the school systems, we're having so many problems with students and their behavior because they don't know how to deal with their anger issues. So that's what we're here to talk about today, and we want to go ahead and just lay some groundwork in terms of where this information is coming from. This information is coming from the Mayo Clinic. The Mayo Clinic, if you was to research, it was a hospital that was started back in 1870 by the doctor. I think his name was Alfred Mayo. But anyway, the World Health Organization, they actually consult with the Mayo Clinic about things not only for the physical body but also for the mental body. Not only then, we're talking about all of the armed forces. We're talking about the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines. They all consult with the Mayo Clinic about what they can do to help their soldiers in battle. Again, more so the mental than the physical. The physical is a part of it, but the two go in hand, and they focus more on the mental because the body follows the mind. It is a known clinical fact. It's not the other way around. It's the mind follows the body. So the mind has to be in tune so that the body can accomplish what it needs to accomplish. And so that's why I'm bringing up, this particular instance in terms of dealing with anger. And one of the things that we want to talk about today, we're only going to deal with the why. Why are you angry? Why are you angry? Where does it come from? How is it starting? Well, I can tell you, because maybe not enough time was dedicated to learning how to deal with that. Most of the anger that many adults are, are displaying emanates from when they was children. When they were children, they they watched their mother and their father and other family members deal with, react, or respond to anger. And so you have all of those experiences from when you were a child, when you was a toddler, and then you became a little bit older. You went to school, and your friends at that time, your teachers, all of those things. You became a teenager, and all of that goes along with being a teenager. All of those kinds of things. You graduated high school, maybe went to college or something like that, and so now you're a young adult. And in that time, honestly ask yourself, how much time was dedicated to me learning how to deal positively with anger? We're talking about conflict resolution. And so now we're an adult. As an adult, it's your responsibility to research and study and look at yourself in terms of what you can do to become better and be a better individual, especially when you're dealing with anger. Now, like I said, anger is not really talked about enough, I should say. It is, in fact, available. And like I said, most people know about this, but we just don't do it for whatever reasons. But I promise you, if you was to just employ just a few of these principles, you would see a dramatic difference in your life. I know it's made a dramatic difference in my life. Things that would bother me, they don't bother me anymore because there's no point to it. I don't need to be coming. I don't need to be having an argument that's really not going to be to my benefit. And much of that is because I had to take these same principles. I had to understand if someone is coming to you negatively, if they was coming to me negatively, now instead of arguing with them, now I can just be quiet and then not listen to them. And that's also a respect thing for them, because people will respect you if you just sit and listen to them. Even though we may disagree, we still can be respectful. And so you have to know what the triggers or what your triggers are, because we all have triggers. And the triggers for anger, they fall under 7 categories. They're injustice, disrespect, violation of your personal space, abusive language, labeling, which is shaming and blaming, physical threats, and verbal insults. Those 7 key triggers are most common, or what have been found common for at least the last 200 years. They've been studying children, they've studied men, women, organizations, companies, individuals alike, and they've all more or less they have found that these 7 categories have been found to be common when people are angry, when they're irate, when there's depression, when the anxiety is high, and we all have moments where we cave in. However, when we do that, we still have to be able to rise above what's happening to us in the moment. Because again, you are not going to consult a book when you're faced with a situation. That's not even logical. You're not going to pull out a book. You're going to have to respond in the moment. But however, if you have the foresight in the moment, if you already know about these things in the moment, you're going to find yourself in the advantage. That way you don't have to tarnish, or should I say ruin, a possible relationship. So again, we're talking about all of these things about the why of anger. It could be something from your past that was totally unresolved. And there's a lot of people that are going that have some past issues that have yet to be resolved, and they come out. And sometimes they come out negatively. It could be a look, it could be a picture, it could be a certain incident, it could be something. And those are things that one has to be able to be dealt with. So now, since we're talking about anger and it emanates from when we was children, so now comes the question of, now it comes like, we're now talking about the quality of the parents. Now let me just make something real clear right now. I am not here judging parents. No one is in any position to judge. We're just giving some advice and offering some tidbits. However, your parents, they made some mistakes. Like it or not, your parents are not perfect. Some may want to think that, and that's noble, but that's not reality, because no human being that has ever been born since the beginning of time is perfect. We would like to think that since my mom and my dad, they raised me up, surely they knew what they was doing. Surely They taught me right. They gave me all the right tools. They sent me to the right schools, and they did everything right. Your parents did what they knew. Your parents did what they knew. They did the very best that they could under the conditions at that time. On one hand, some turned out really well. On the other hand, some didn't. And that's life. And there's nothing that you can do about that. Like it or not. That goes into dealing with the past. You can't change what has happened as a child when you was 6 years old or 10 years old. Even though it may not have been completely positive, it may have been it may have been real bad, because they got some people. We all have been through stuff. Everybody's got a story. However, now as an adult, it's now your responsibility to make the changes, to make the necessary changes so that you can become better at whatever. So now, since you're taking the time, you're going to work, you're being gainfully employed, you're taking care of yourself, you're doing your best. You may be copying some of the things that you saw your parents did with you, and that's okay. But if you want to get better, some of what you know is going to have to be challenged. Could I do it better? There's always a better way to do things. And again, it doesn't mean that you're judging your parents. We're not saying to throw away what you learned. No, we are saying to improve upon what you learned. Everything can in fact be improved. You see the clarinet in the back. I'm really practicing the clarinet right now. I'm not a clarinetist, but now I hear where I want to be, so it's the same thing. If I want to get good on the clarinet, that means I have to practice every day. You see these musical notes and symbols and whatnot, all of that is included, that goes along, that makes music what it is. The people, the audience that feel the music and hear the music, they don't care nothing about that. They don't care anything about that. They only care about the right now. Oh, that music sounds great. It sounds great. As a professional musician, I have to know this stuff. I got to know this in order to do the music, which is going to make the people happy, which means I'm gainfully employed, so I can continue to take care of myself and my family. That same metaphor of music is the exact same thing I'm proposing to you mentally. If you don't know how to deal with the things of anger, and that's just one of many, you're gonna have some issues and some problems. So what we're saying right now is that these things are, like I said, they are in fact not new. And whenever you start doing things for yourself, depending on who you have in your circle, 83% of people in your circle, once you start doing things for yourself and trying to better yourself, 9 times out of 10, they're going to start blaming you. Who do you think you are? Or you think you're better than us? They're going to start shaming you. Oh, you don't want to be with us anymore. No, I don't. Again, you're not better than nobody else. You're not better than anybody else. They're not better than you. It's a choice. And we talked about that. We talked about being respectful. I may not agree with you, but at least let's be respectful, because what some people haven't realized is that you cannot change other people. Try as you may, you cannot change anyone. No one has. Now, there are some people that really believe that they can, in fact, change somebody. And unfortunately, it's like hitting the proverbial wall, and they just never get it. And that's not a judgment. That's not a put down. They really have some people out here that really just don't know. And it starts from their influences as children. They didn't just become like that. They've been bred like that for years. And hopefully you can tune in on that and pick that up, and that way you can learn from them. Because let me tell you something, at the end of the day, people are going to be people. Like it or not. They're going to be people out here. They are going to do them. They are concerned about themselves. They are not concerned about the collective. You're in the collective. We're in the collective. Now, of course, and sometimes that includes family too. So even though we can get along with people and we interact with people, at the end of the day, you need to make sure that you make yourself the priority, because before anyone can help, or should I say offer help, you have to be in the position to help. Meaning you have to be able uh, to offer some insight. If you are financially well, then you can help someone that may be down on their luck for for some time right now. So with that, like I said, people being people, you have to perceive that. So that way, again, that puts you at the advantage. Don't ever assume that people should treat you the same way that you should be treated. And I say the word should because, see, when you talk about should, that means, well, you should do this, you should do that. How you gonna make them do it? Even your children. Think about your children. They should do their homework. They should clean their room. You shouldn't get in trouble at school. Even reprimands. There's a big thing right now that's happening with the COVID-19, the coronavirus. People should walk around with a mask on. What you gonna do? Becoming angry with them is not gonna help it. Just realize that's where they are, and protect yourself and do for yourself in the interim. Because again, whether we like it or not, people don't see what you see, they don't hear what you hear. And we have to, and again, and knowing that makes you smart. Now, not smarter than them, that makes you smart. And I say makes you smart, that's in terms of being able to understand where they are, so that way you can now have an adequate response in terms of dealing with them. If you wish to continue to deal with them, if they're in your circle, and if they're continually like that, you may want to reevaluate whether you want to continue to be around them, because you have to be with people of the like mind in order for you to grow. If I wasn't around other good musicians, I couldn't grow. I'm still wanting to grow. Many times I fall down, but guess what? You keep getting back up. And like I said, the metaphor of music that I use is in life, because I see that they're one in the same. And like I said, it doesn't matter whether you're white, you're black, rich, poor, or wherever you're located in the world, it's the same thing. So whatever your profession is, do that. Focus on what you need to do. And these are tips, like I said, that are given by the Mayo Clinic. And if you take them and apply them to yourself, I guarantee you are going to find that you're much more at peace. You pick your battles. You don't have to answer everyone. You don't have to be everything to everybody. So with that in mind, these are some tips that we have in place, and hopefully you'll start incorporating them in their lives. When you're dealing with people, you've got to realize four things. One, their actions are not worth damaging your relationships with God, your family, and your friends. That's one. If somebody is acting in a way that can be challenging, you have to realize that, because you can't change them. Number two, realize that you are not the judge. God is. Whatever a person is doing, whatever they have done, we all have been the recipient of some bad things from some people. And try as you may, it may be completely valid. You have to let it go. That doesn't make you a wimp. That doesn't make you a pushover. It doesn't make you passive. Again, that's acknowledging your anger, but dealing with it in a more positive way. Taking matters into your own hand is not going to net you. That's going to create some other kind of problems, probably some legal problems for you, depending on if you really take it, to a whole nother level. Number three, realize that you got problems too. In a marriage, if you divorced, own up to what you did. That person got there over time, whether you want to admit it or not. Admit your part. Yeah, I did that. What was my part? Let the chips fall where they may. In a relationship, if it's not going the way that you'd like it to go, it didn't happen like that overnight. You have to admit to yourself what your part is. And most people are in denial. And we're not talking about the river in Egypt neither. Being able to own whatever your part was in any type of relationship of any magnitude, that's also key. Number 4, realize that whatever pain that somebody else has caused you, use it to promote yourself. We're talking about anger. We're talking about the why you're angry, understanding anger. So again, the bottom line is it's about you having the advantage. It's okay to be angry. It is perfectly okay. That is a normal human emotion for you to be angry, for you to be upset. But what's not acceptable is you imparting that negative, that anger, that energy on someone else, and they may have had nothing to do with it. You're right. You may be angry, but again, that doesn't give you the right to be nasty to people, to be disrespectful to people. The jailhouse is filled with people that have not learned how to control their anger. Are they wrong? Were they provoked? But I can guarantee you, if they had learned how to control their anger early on, I venture to say at least 25 to 50% of the people that's in jail would not be in jail. So remember that you can't make others feel what you feel, you can't make them see what you see, and you can't make them think as you think. We're all different. You need to do these things you can start employing. Think before you speak. Once you're calm, express your anger, hopefully in a positive way, even if you have to leave them alone. Walk away for a couple of minutes. Back away. Do some exercises if that's the case. Take a time out. Consider possible solutions. Stop blaming. Don't be with the I statement and they did this and they did that and da 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 da. That's not helping you. That's putting gas on the fire. Don't hold a grudge. Holding a grudge does not do you any good. Well, I'm not gonna forgive them. I'm gonna stay mad until they forgive me. What if they die and they haven't forgiven you? So you still gonna be walking around upset? Your life is more important than that. Practice relaxation skills, breathing in, breathing out, using humor to laugh. Find something funny. Like I said, Delphia, we laugh at it now. Delphia Marcellus, he really gave me a hard time about it. He said, man, you was really, really upset. Yeah, we can laugh at it now. Of course, it wasn't funny at that time to me, but now because I decided to just pick my battle, so to speak, and back off, I still was pissed, but I backed off. And then after some time, I thought about it. I was like, yeah, I could have handled that differently. And the other thing, number 10, most importantly, know when to seek some help, y'all. You got to know when to get some help. I am not a psychologist by no stretch of the imagination, but because I have had the symptoms that I just described, it's just like learning an instrument, like I said. And so now I can't turn it off. And so once the light came on, I was like, wow. And I started thinking, I said, all I have to do is just keep on studying. And so now I'm my own personal guinea pig now. It works if you work it. Just because you don't believe in the law of gravity does not mean that if you walk off a building, you're going to fall. So these are principles that work, y'all. So look, I'm glad that y'all tuned in. Next week, we're going to talk about the who. We're going to be talking more in depth about people and anger and all of that different kind of stuff. So again, go to my YouTube page and subscribe or like it and check it out. And look, we'll be back at y'all next week. Peace.